How's it going, everybody? I asked Yankees Twitter to send me their out-on-a-limb predictions for the 2023 season. Got some interesting responses. Frankie Montas, Anthony Rizzo, Harrison Bader. A lot of fun stuff to talk about, so buckle up. Let's get started.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
How's it going, everybody? Last talked to you yesterday, so we're right back at it today. I asked the folks on Twitter to throw out some wild predictions for next season for the Yankees, just to see what the fan base has in mind. My wild prediction, to start things off, was that Giancarlo Stanton would hit 50 home runs. Now, Stanton hit 59 home runs with the Marlins back in 2017. But that's a long time ago now. So this is kind of an out there prediction. He's had trouble staying healthy with the Yankees. Last year, though, over 30 home runs in essentially a little over half a season. He was an all-star. He won the MVP of the all-star game. And he played pretty well in the postseason. Again, I mean, he's one of the only guys on the Yankees who hits well in the postseason. And I think he's just due to have one of those monster years, maybe the final one of his career. He's getting older, and I think that to really move up the home run charts, he recognizes that he's got to put in a massive season, and I think that this could be the year. Now, this is just a wild prediction out of left field, but I'm going to say 50 home runs. You know, Judge hitting 62 last year maybe motivated him a little bit, and, you know, give him the old proverbial chip on his shoulder to show what he can do. So that's my first prediction, and I get it's out there, and a lot of these predictions are going to be out there. So, you know, try to be not as harsh as usual in the comments on some of these folks. Prediction number 2 comes from Frankie Baseball, who says that Frankie Montas is going to have one good start next year. I don't know if he meant that as, you know, a positive, that he might actually have a good start, or as a negative, that he's going to have one good start and that'll be it. But that's an interesting prediction. Montas was definitely a disappointment last year coming over. The shoulder injury concerns me because shoulders can be such a mystery. We've talked about it on this podcast a number of times, that if you have an arm injury as a pitcher, you'd much rather have it be an elbow, because doctors have gotten really, really good at fixing elbows, but shoulders can still be a problem. You remember Michael Pineda hurt his shoulder as soon as he got to the Yankees, torn labrum, and he was never the same. You know, Greg Bird injured his shoulder. He's never been the same. Miguel Andujar, same thing. I suspect Fernando Tatis is going to have trouble with his shoulder going forward. He's had labrum issues. So Frankie Montas, it seemed like it was just inflammation. You know, no surgery was required. He didn't have any kind of surgery this offseason. And he does have a good fastball. He's got a good splitter. But the injury is such a wild card to me that I just have no idea what to expect from Frankie Montas. Is he going to be the guy that we saw against the Mets in that one lights-out start? Or is he going to be the guy that got pummeled several times? Now, you see the split-fingered fastball there. I mean, that's every bit as good as Masahiro's split-fingered fastball. But the problem with Montas was that it was inconsistent. He'll throw 8 fantastic breaking balls in a row, and then he'll hang one right down the middle. Now, the splits are something that people like to talk about. His splits on the road away from Oakland before he came to the Yankees were not good. So it was somewhat predictable that, you know, he would not pitch as well with his new team. I didn't want to believe it. You know, I thought the stuff would translate. I figured it was one of those, I guess, just kind of glitches in the matrix where a guy's more comfortable at home or whatnot. But, you know, after watching him, he seemed like a little bit of a deer in headlights with the Yankees. I certainly hope he can improve. And he is definitely on my short list for stepping up next year. Giants123 says Carlos Rodon won't handle New York and will have an ERA above 4. Do I sense a little bit of saltiness that he didn't go back to San Francisco? I don't know. But I think that he will pitch well in New York. I mean, just watching him, watching his personality type, he doesn't have that kind of deer in headlights look that we've seen from guys like Sonny Gray or Kenny Rogers or before my time, Ed Whitson. There have been a lot of pitchers who've come over to New York and really haven't been able to handle the pressure. But something that can really help with that is if you get off to a good start. He'll be facing his former team, the Giants, who are not expected to be a very good offensive team next season. In his first start with the Yankees, that'll be at home. So he's got a chance to make a good impression right out of the gate with the home fans. It's going to be cold, and I can tell you that high 98-mile-an-hour fastball and that good tight slider are going to be tough to square up when it's cold, because if you hit it wrong, it's going to sting. So I hope you're wrong on this one. I think Rodon will have a good season, and I think he'll handle New York just fine. Craig says, speaking it into existence, Peraza is going to have a year very similar to Jeremy Pena last season with the Astros. We saw that you can win the World Series with a rookie at shortstop. I was very impressed with Peraza. I've spoken about it a number of times on this channel. I think he's got a very balanced approach at the plate. We saw the power with his first home run against the Rangers. I mean, that was not a wall scraper. The guy was ripping balls down the line. He was hustling. He's got a very level swing. Look at that. That's a contact-oriented swing. He hit over 300. Even there, he's off balance. He's out in front of it a little bit and still picks up a double. We saw that he got better and better as he went through the minor leagues, and we saw some good defense. He's got a quick release. He's athletic around the bases. So I really don't think this is that out there of a prediction. Would not shock me if he has a monster year. Pedro says that a healthy Rizzo will hit 40-plus home runs next year, as we take a look back at his home run against Cleveland in Game 1 of the American League Division Series. You know, the thing about Rizzo is that the back just wouldn't cooperate last year, and he still hit 32 home runs. So I think that, you know, as you qualify it with a healthy Rizzo, I think that this is a valid prediction. This could happen. But the odds of him staying healthy as he gets older and continues to have back issues, you know, I wouldn't bet the farm on it. I think 35 home runs is more than reasonable, and I would sign up for it right now. Definitely would sign up for 40. Cliff Lee on the Rose rotation says that Garrett Cole will have an ERA above 3.7. That's not a huge step from where he was this year. He was at 3.5. I personally think he'll get a little bit better next year. He had a real problem with home runs this year. It was a career worst in home runs allowed. I don't think that's going to happen again. He also set the Yankees record for strikeouts, and he pitched well in the playoffs, and that does a lot for a man's confidence and does a lot for how the crowd, I think, is going to treat him. But there are a few things with Garrett Cole that kind of irritate me a little bit. He seems to be a little bit too much of a creature of habit. In the same way that Mike Mussina was a creature of habit, we saw it on opening day when Billy Crystal took too long to throw out the ceremonial first pitch, and then Garrett Cole had a rough first inning. I believe there were some instances where there were either, long innings prior or there were rain delays or whatever, and it just seemed to throw him off of his rhythm a little bit too much. He's got to be able to make that in-game adjustment. And it seemed like when he would be matching up against a pitcher who was also throwing a great game, he always seemed to be the one who broke first, in my opinion. I mean, that's just how my memory's putting it together. I don't have any stats to support that, but I think fans are ready for that dominant Cy Young type season out of Garrett Cole. I don't know if we're going to get it, but it sure would be fun to see. Maybe having Carlos Rodon there can take some pressure off of him, both figuratively and literally, by eating up some of those high leverage innings. Joe says that the Yankees will actually beat the Astros and win the World Series. Well, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one, but the Astros did lose Justin Verlander. And Verlander's been a guy who just crushes the Yankees in the playoffs for the last decade, it seems. Look, I've always tried to straight talk with you guys on this podcast. I think the Yankees need to do a little bit more this offseason if they want to seriously be considered a favorite to beat the Astros. I am confident that they'll get more out of the shortstop position, but I just don't see them winning the World Series with Josh Donaldson as your third baseman and Aaron Hicks as your left fielder. Going to take more. What that looks like, I don't know. I don't know if trading for Brian Reynolds is the answer. Maybe it is. But maybe Brian Cashman just needs to be a little bit more creative. But at this point, I think the Astros are still probably a better team. Thurman, the Yankees cat, makes two predictions. One that Gleyber Torres is going to hit 300 with 30-plus home runs, and Severino is going to have a Cy Young-type season with 18-plus wins. And honestly, I could see the Gleyber hitting 30 home runs thing happening. He had a couple of bad slumps last year and still put up over 20 home runs. 300 seems like it'll be the tougher thing for him to do. He hit 257 last season. He hit 259 the season before that. He hit 243 the season before that. His career best was 2019 when he hit 278. I think he's about a 250 hitter. With the shift, he hits a lot of balls up the middle. He might be somebody that I think will benefit from the shift a lot more than other folks. So I could see him hitting 275, 280. But if he bounces back to 2019 form and he's already at the 280-ish mark, maybe he does get close to 300. But I think 270 is a solid season for Gleyber Torres. Let's just hope it's with the Yankees. It might not be. The other prediction from Thurman was that Severino would win 18 games and have a Cy Young caliber season. He's got Cy Young caliber stuff. 98 with the fastball last year. Good slider. His command was as good as ever. The changeup was better than ever. You saw one right there. He'll throw it to righties and to lefties. And he almost threw a no-hitter at the end of the season. The only thing that's ever held Luis Severino back is health. He had a couple of years where he wasn't healthy, but other than that, he's been dominant in his career. And it would make me very, very happy to see him in a contract year really put the team on his back and have another season like he did in 2018. That year, he was 19-8 with a 3.39 ERA, 191 in the third innings, 220 strikeouts, finished ninth in the Cy Young voting. He actually finished third in the Cy Young voting the prior season. He was 14-6 with a 2.98 ERA. That was his age 23 season. He's going to be 29 this year. So hopefully with age comes experience, but also unfortunately with age comes health issues from time to time, and that's been the big issue for him. So 102 innings last year, 112 strikeouts. He's got the stuff, 3.18 ERA. We'll see if he can put it all together for a full year. All right, next we've got Lee, who says Harrison Bader will make the American League All-Star team. Look, if Harrison Bader is the player that we saw in the playoffs, you're damn right he's going to make the All-Star team. I mean, this guy was unreal. I don't think he's going to put up that kind of power. I mean, he seemed to really focus. And it's funny, the pressure of New York that we talked about with Carlos Rodon, I think it's true to say that some people focus and some people fold when you've got the kind of pressure that you get in New York. And Harrison Bader seemed like a guy who really focused and really bared down, and I think we saw the type of player that he can be. Whether or not he can extend that over a full season, we'll see. But to be an American League All-Star, really only got to do it for the first half. So I do agree that he's got a really good chance to be an All-Star. Next is John Rucci, who says that Volpe will hit 20 home runs next year in the major leagues. I don't think that that's completely out of the realm of possibility, especially if he makes the opening day roster. As we've heard in recent days that he has a shot to do. I mean, he's hit over 20 home runs each of the last 2 years in the minor leagues. And a lot of times we see guys' power improve when you get to the major leagues. Not only do you play more games, but you get more consistent strikes thrown to you. There's better lighting in major league ballparks. The coaching is better. The training facilities are better. The scouting is better. I mean, there's a real chance that Anthony Volpe, if he makes the major leagues, could do a lot better than 20 home runs. I mean, I could see him hitting, 29 or 30 home runs just based on what I've seen so far. Really quick bat, very strong kid, and I really think he could be the future of this organization. Let's just hope that the Yankees don't keep him in the minor leagues until he's 28 years old. All right, I hope you enjoyed these fan predictions. Feel free to send me some more in the comments, and maybe we'll do another one. It's kind of a slow month. January typically is a month where it's tough to come up with some content, right? So I'm happy to do some fan interaction type stuff. But go ahead and send me your predictions and let me know what you think of these predictions in the comments. And I'll see you next time.
Ball game on.